I'm here to introduce the syllabus and just tell you how I'm expecting you to access the class throughout the semester. So here I have the syllabus up for your class, MH110REME College Algebra. The main thing on this first section is when the online class meets. There's an online in-class session that for you guys is Mondays from 1:30 to 2:45. What that really means is that on Mondays through Canvas, there's going to be a live conference that you will be able to access and view as it happens, with me going over problems that are like what I'm expecting you to do in the homework for that week. So the way that you're going to access it is you're going to go to the course Canvas page. So let me go out here to your course, MH110 REE. If I go to the home, it should show you these general modules. I made that the home, but if not, definitely the modules tab is the main tab that I want you to be accessing regularly, that has all the information from the course as it's meant to be done. You'll see it slightly differently than mine because you won't see the unpublished stuff, but anything that's green should be viewable to you. That said, where we're going for the live class is clicking on conferences. In conferences, it'll be under new conference if it's the one that's ready and going right now. Basically, there will be a little button on the side that says join, and you can click to join and become part of the conference. Down below are two conferences that have already happened for the class. So we had office hours earlier today, Wednesday. This is not clickable because I do not record the office hours. The office hours are just a chance for you to come and ask me questions. It's like a tutoring session. Basically, it's open to everybody in the class. If there's more than one person who wants to ask a question, I'll basically just go in order. Somebody will ask a question, then once I finish their question, I'll go through and see if anybody else does and make sure that everybody who's there gets their questions answered. But I'm not going to record those sessions. It's just a chance for you to ask me about anything that's giving you trouble on any of the homeworks or any other things going on in the class. The Monday sessions I do record. I want it to be such that if you're not able to make it during those specific times, you can always view what happened. The way that you view it is you go under concluded conferences, you look at, or you click on the name of the conference. It's always going to be one MH110 REME College Algebra. Really, I should have put here 111. I forgot to put that in the original name, but I'll do that in the future. So the date, and then it'll say live session and the time that the live session was. Um, in the future, these live sessions again will be mostly math based, but this first one was just getting ready for the class. So if you click on this, it will open the link below. Down below is where the presentation is now. This first one is 36 minutes. If I click on the word presentation, it'll open in a new window. I can press play, and this is what it looks like. So welcome everyone. This is College Algebra MH110. Last semester was my first semester of doing this. So this is the conferences tab. That's what it's used for. Again, these sessions will be listed here under new conferences when they're live and available, and you'll get an invite in your inbox for any of them that I schedule. Back to the syllabus. This is my information. I don't plan on ever being on campus this semester, so I do list my office location, but I am not in my office. I'm working from home. My wife is helping me care for 3 children here, but really we're both working, so it's something where getting to campus really isn't feasible for me this semester. Hopefully daycares are open for us next semester, but for right now we're kind of working 2 jobs almost between the kids and these jobs. Apologies, but I am not on campus this semester. I also then won't be at this phone number. The best way to reach me is this email address. I check my email pretty regularly. It goes to my phone as well. I'd say at least 4 or 5 times a day I go in and try and respond to emails, more right now because I'm getting a lot, but that's definitely the best way to get to me if you just have a general question. This is the course description. As far as student resources, I want to stress that you guys have already paid for Cengage Unlimited. Please do not purchase additional materials for the class. You do not need to pay for anything as long as you're a full-time Manor student. If you're not a full-time Manor student, we need to check to see whether or not your credentials work at Cengage. If they don't, you may have to either purchase a 1 semester subscription or a single course subscription. But for the wide majority of students in this class, you've already purchased this and paid for this with your tuition. So that membership, I'm going to show you how to link it through the course. Basically, in order to get your Cengage Unlimited account linked to Canvas, you're going to go to the Canvas page, click on modules. Within modules, go to the first section, which is titled Graphs and Linear Equations. So when I say first section of course material. The first section is important course information, and includes this quiz that the video's on. But down here in the first actual coursework and first actual algebra work, you'll see that under graphs and linear equations, the first thing is a page marked graphing with rectangular coordinates. If you click on it, this is the lesson that I want you to work through before you start the online homework. So to work through it, basically, you're first given objectives. You click on the next tab across the top, it goes to the PowerPoint lecture. If I click on this link, this is the actual PowerPoint that'll open so that I can follow along. If I click play here, this will play the YouTube link of me for going through this entire lecture the way that I would have if you were sitting in my classroom. See that when I press play, it plays right in Canvas. You can make it full screen
We
if you like.
begin this algebra class with understanding how to use the rectangular coordinate system. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to plot points as ordered pairs.
So for every lesson, you have that PowerPoint lecture as the second tab, and it's really where I'm hoping you'll start your study for that week. You'll watch the lecture of me going over what we're trying to master this week. Hopefully, you at least loosely understand the concepts. If not, there's another video example link here where it's some other professor explaining a similar topic to the one I just did. The last tab to me is the most important one of these. It is a link first to a classwork document and then to a classwork video. What these really represent is the classwork that I would have given if we were in person. So the reason it's called classwork is because that's what it was for me when I was teaching this class live. I don't want to confuse that with in-class assignments. In-class assignments is what we're using to talk about things that I'm going to have you do virtually when we meet on those Mondays. So I know that the names are close, and I'm sorry about that, but basically this classwork is something that I can click on and try after I've viewed the lecture. If I click on this, a Word document will open, and the questions will be very similar to the types of questions that I'm going to be asked when I open the online homework. I then, beneath it, have a video again of me explaining step by step how to do each of the problems from the classwork. So the hope for me would be that you first start with the PowerPoint lecture, watch the PowerPoint lecture, try to grasp the concepts, then click on the classwork, open up the classwork. If you don't want to do every problem, that's absolutely fine. But at the very least, ideally, you would look and say, well, I'm a little confused on number three. I'm not sure how I would start that one. Or, basically you'd look over what's available and say, hey, maybe that's something that I need to look at before I try it. So you can then view the video that goes over all of it. Again, my hope would be that you actually try all the problems, see how many you can do on your own before watching the video to see them all solved out correctly. Once you work through all this material, then back in the module, right beneath the page that goes over everything is the page that you're actually assessed on. So this graphing with rectangular coordinates, if I click it and my account is linked, would just take me directly to the homework graphing with rectangular coordinates. But the very first time that you click it, you need to link your account. The way that you do that is when you click it, it's going to ask for your email or username and password. They are exactly what your email or username was for Manor and the original password that Manor issued you. So for me, when I put in the username is emolton@manor.edu, and then I use my password. For you guys, you may have changed your password from what they originally gave you to something else since you've been to Manor. You need to use the original password that you were issued, is my understanding. It's something that has given students some difficulty, so please try as soon as possible to get these accounts linked. Once they're linked one time, from then on, whenever you go through your Canvas, when you click on one of the assignments, it'll just take you directly to web assignment. So for the first week, meaning next Wednesday, the 20th, what's due is this graphing with rectangular coordinates assignment and this equation containing two variables assignment. There's also going to be this week one discussion board, which I haven't made live yet, because I'm hoping to record a video going over how I want you to do this as well. Okay, so let me go back to the syllabus. The other thing I talk about on here besides Cengage Unlimited is the textbook and the calculator. Do not buy the textbook. The textbook is available as a PDF for free through Cengage Unlimited. If you're somebody who needs the textbook in front of you and likes to have a physical textbook, I have students who do prefer that, then you can absolutely buy the textbook, but do it through Cengage Unlimited. Basically, if you buy it on your own through Amazon or somewhere, it costs much more. Because you already have the Cengage Unlimited subscription, they sell you a print copy at cost, and it should be like half as much as it would be somewhere else. That said, you could probably get it cheaper used. So if you see it used somewhere and it's a similar edition, and just want some information, feel free to grab it. Again, my recommendation is really don't buy anything with the book, just use the ebook, which is available online. Graphing or scientific calculator, really any calculator as long as it has a square root and exponents is fine for this class. The one that I recommend is the one that I would buy if you have no calculator and you're just looking for one that's going to help you through manner with both science classes and math classes. It's the TI-30X2S. The last time I looked it up on Amazon, I think it was like 17 bucks, and it should be less than 20. The one that I use is a graphing calculator, TI-83, which is well beyond what you need for the class. But if you do have a nicer, bigger calculator, they can definitely work. If you're someone who's thinking about going on and doing calculus or advanced statistics, it's possible you'd want to familiarize yourself with one of those larger calculators. But again, for the majority of this class, I think a TI-30X2S is the ideal calculator, or you can just use pretty much anything that you have around as long as it has a square root button and an exponent button. Through the learning objectives to what you're being assessed on. Online homework is like those assignments that I showed that were clickable, where basically they're the core of the class. They're the assignments, the lessons that we're trying to learn as we go along that'll build towards the tests, and cumulatively they're worth 20% of your grade. They're almost all due Wednesday nights at 11:59. There's sometimes where, due to when the breaks fall, I make them do on a different night. Like I think there's one time where things are due on a Friday or a Saturday. For the most part, everything in the class is going to be due Wednesday night at midnight for these online homeworks. Discussion boards, same thing. They'll be due Wednesday at midnight. You'll do those through Canvas. So they'll show up within the module. I haven't published the first one yet, but I'm about to. Basically, any attempt at the discussion board is worth full credit. All I want you to do is try. As long as you try them before the due date, I'm going to give you 10 out of 10 on them. The only thing is, I'm going to comment on them and basically correct any wrong math or help you with any struggles you might have had completing them. But really, my hope is to connect the math somewhat to the outside world with them, and I'm going to give you a chance to try something where it should be consequence free and you don't feel like getting it wrong is going to be problematic. If I'd much rather you try and get it wrong than not try at all. For the in class assignments that are also worth 10% of your grade. Oh, also, if you turn in a discussion board late, you still do get credit, but you get 8 out of 10 credit, not 10 out of 10. And you can turn them in late up until the end of the course. For in-class assignments, those are each Monday. I'm going to create a 10-question quiz, like the questions that we're learning in those week's assignments. I'll go over all 10 questions, the full answers, show you step by step how to do every problem on Mondays. My hope is that as I'm doing the problems, if you have questions, you'll raise your hand and I'll work through them. But, or when I say raise your hand, either turn on your microphone or type them in the chat window. But basically, that's your time to interact with me as I'm doing these problems and also to get the answers to the quiz. So whether you just attend and you just watch and don't have questions and just get the answers, or whether you attend and actively ask questions, either is wonderful. Also, absolutely fine if you're asynchronous and you watch the class recording after the fact. Again, that's 10% of your grade. So far we have 20% for online homework, 10% for discussion board, 10% for in-class assignments. That 40% of your grade, I'm really hoping that people get full credit for if they're working hard in the class. Again, if you're having trouble with any homework questions, you can always come to office hours and I'll help work through them. The discussion board is just purely did you try it? And the in-class assignments, I'm literally showing the answers on Mondays. So really the hope is that students start with that portion of the class giving them a high grade, and then the rest of the grade is tests. And the tests really they are what they are. I mean, when you're doing homeworks, I give you 5 attempts. So I want you to feel okay getting something wrong. But basically, they're the same type questions that are going to appear on the test. And the hope is by doing the homeworks, by doing the in class assignments, by working through the class, you'll have mastered things by the time the test comes around. On the test, you only get 1 attempt at each problem, and the test account for the largest portion of your grade. 40% of your grade in the class is these 5 tests. They're each worth 8% of your grade. Then there is one final exam that's on everything covered in the class. It's worth 20% of your grade. 60% of your grade is from tests and the final exam, which are all done online through the WebAssign system. Grade breakdown is here again, as well as the letter grades far as attendance is taken each Sunday based on the week before. So basically, I'm going to put it in on Sunday nights, and I'm going to look back at did you finish the discussion board for Wednesday? Did you finish the online homework assignments for Wednesday? Did you turn in the in class assignment by Wednesday? If you've done those things, you'll be marked present. If you haven't, you'll be marked absent for that week. If it's a test week when you don't have all the other assignments and just a test, basically, if you take the test by the due date, you're present. If you don't, you're absent. Tests cannot be extended for any reason whatsoever. So the due dates on the test are firm. That's the last day to take any test. If you miss it, you will get a 0 for the test. Homeworks leading up to the test, I can extend for various reasons. If you get sick, if you got extra shifts at work that you didn't foresee, if you had to care for a child that you didn't realize that you would have to take care of that day. There's all sorts of reasons during this pandemic where things come up that people didn't foresee. I don't mind extending homeworks. The tests should be hard dates that you're aware of in advance. Please pay attention to what days the tests are due, and please try and get out in front of these tests. Once a test date passes, the system automatically shows the full answer key to every student. So I cannot extend tests even if I wanted to. Once a test passes, you get a 0 for that test. I do have alternate versions of the test available. They're only made available to students who email me, tell me the reason they missed the test, and then depending upon the reason, either have to do a tutoring session with the Learning Center in order to be eligible for the alternate test, or basically if there's like internet issues, things that came up that you couldn't work around, oftentimes I just make it available and let you take the alternate test. But I much would prefer you take the test on time. People who fall behind and set up themselves for the alternate test, I would say, have a much lower rate of success than people who take the original tests. The alternate test, by then, when I'm picking questions, I've already had to pick questions for the homework, sample test, and the actual test. So it's something where I have a limited bank of questions to choose from, and I don't necessarily have the ability to get the same level questions in the alternate test, which means sometimes you'll find they're slightly harder than the original. It's really best if you try and make those original test dates. So the schedule at the bottom walks you through when everything is due. Every time that we have lessons that we learn, they're listed in the first column. The web sign assignments are listed in the second column. In the third column is the discussion board and Canvas assignments that are due. And then in the fourth column is there's practice problems that are never graded, never need to be collected. Those practice problems, they're just there if you are working with a tutor or trying to review things beyond what's been available in the class. You can always go to the ebook, go to those pages, and those problems are like the ones that I'm asking you to do for the homework. And then there's the dates here that everything's happening. This IH just stands for instructional hours, just saying how many hours a week it is to add up to the 45. overall class. You'll notice that on test weeks, there are no other assignments other than taking the sample test, which is never graded, and taking the actual test. There's not going to be discussion boards, there's not going to be other lessons due. So, again, everything on here lays out what's due when in the course. I didn't change any of these dates last semester. I don't expect to change any of these dates this semester. Any of these dates, you know in advance when they are. Pay special attention to when we have spring break. It breaks things up where really I made some things due right here on Friday, I believe, and then the other things due on the Wednesday after. But basically, I'm treating this like one larger week that has spring break in the middle of it. During actual spring break, class will not. Similarly, for Easter break, I made it a test week where I'm not going to hold class. I'm not going to do a review for it, but I will be available. I believe on that Wednesday we still have availability that normally class would be in session. So on the Wednesday that the test is due, I will have a session of office hours where I can answer questions. The final exam has to be taken by 5/1. I believe that might even need to be taken by 4:30 when the Canvas class closes. But I definitely made it so you can still take the web assigned version, and I believe I can extend the Canvas class slightly. Regardless, 5/1 is the day that I need to put final grades in the day after, so make sure that the final's taken by then. I'll give more details as that date approaches. I think that's everything I want to go over, but to make sure, I'm going to go out to the quiz and step by step go through what the answers are. So let me look at the quiz. For yours, I believe it shuffles the answer choices, so here it's just going to be the first answer choice every time. That's not going to be the case for the quiz that you see. What's the main tab in Canvas I should be using to work through the material in this class? Use the Modules tab. The Modules tab is where everything's located. Which of the following grade assignment types is the biggest part of your grade calculation? Tests. Tests are 40% of your grade. In order to link the course Canvas page to the web assign only homework, what do I need to do? You need to click on the first assignment in the Modules tab. Use your original manner, email, and password to log in. What are the lecture links, or where are the lecture video links located? Within the module, they're the second tab on any lesson page. When are the classwork assignments that appear in the module due? Never. They're there to give examples like the graded homework. They are never due. Can I extend online assignments if I miss a due date? I will extend any online homework up to the date of the test. Test must be taken by the due date. Cannot extend a test for any reason. What's the best way to ask me about a question you're struggling with on the homework? Ask your teacher feature in WebAssign. I didn't go over this when I was talking, but basically, when you're in WebAssign, as you're doing a homework question, there's a little button in the corner that says Ask Your Teacher. If you click that, it not only sends me the question that you're struggling on, the answer that they want you to give, but it also shows me your most recent answer. So if there's something wrong with the formatting, like you forgot to put a number on the root, or you forgot to put the denominator incorrectly for a fraction, I can see what went wrong and I can quickly tell you what went wrong. It's much easier for me to diagnose a problem if you use that ask your teacher feature than if you just email me directly about it. How do I use office hours while we're fully online? So during your scheduled office hours, I'll have a live Canvas conference where I'm at a whiteboard ready to answer your questions. Do I need to attend the live class in order to complete the in-class assignment? You can take the quiz without attending the conference, but it will have all the answers if you view it. So that means if you view it live or if you view it after the fact. Can I turn a discussion board in, post in late? Yes, you can, but you'll get 8 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10. I think that covers everything that I want to go over. Video and hope that it works.